everyone, and welcome to QuickBooks Online, the basics of getting organized. My name is Erin Walsh-Dyer, and I'm thrilled to be here with you at QuickBooks Connect, and I'm even more thrilled to help you get started right in your QuickBooks Online. Just a little bit about myself before we get started. I am with my firm, The Bookkeeper's Friend, and we're based in San Diego, California, and Prescott, Arizona. My specialty is getting people in the right QuickBooks, getting them set up correctly, and giving them personal coaching in their specific workflows. Some of you may have unique situations, a little bit different from the conventional, and I help people specifically with their and their staff with their working in QuickBooks Online. So really happy to be here. Just a couple of other things that I do. I also do some side work for Intuit. I actually train on their Accountants University where I help accountants learn QuickBooks Online, and I help write for Intuit as well. So thank you for being here with me. Let's get started, and let's get you started right. The best investment is in the tools of one's own trade. And really what this means is you have a trade and you are doing what you do. If you're a contractor or a event coordinator or whatever it is you do, you have your tools that you use, but you also have the accounting tool. And that's really important because it saves you time, it saves you money if it's done correctly. So you should also consider your accounting platform one of your tools you have in your tool belt. And I want you to learn all about it with me today. So basic setup is where we're going to start. Then we're going to get into activity and workflows. Want to make sure you're doing those workflows properly. And then finally collaborating and adding users and getting your team together. All right, let's start with basic setup. One of the things that is really missed here is people jump into QuickBooks Online and they start, let's say, invoicing just to get the money in. I get that, it happens. But they miss a lot of the other structural things that need to happen. So let's talk about the structure of QuickBooks Online first and how to get your settings and lists correct. And then we'll move on to connections. There are other apps and things that can automate processes to make your life a lot easier. So we'll talk about banking and payroll, time and payments. These things happen magically for you if you get them set up. So I want to make sure you know about them because we want to get you out of the books and out there earning some money instead. All right, first structural thing we need to talk about is your settings. So at the very top of this slide, you can see it says Gear Accountant Settings. On these slides, which will be in your handout, the very top line is in bold, and that means it's your navigational instruction. So I don't want to leave you, tell you how to do all this stuff, but you don't know how to go back to where I was demoing or talking about. So on each slide, you're going to have that. Make sure you get your handout so you have that information. So this first one, Gear Accountant Settings, is where we'll find it. And this is your company settings. So this is all about you, your logo, your address. How are you using QuickBooks? Are you going to reach a list limit? You can check that in accountant settings. There's some sales settings that are might be unique to you, like maybe you want to do progress invoicing, or maybe you want to bill customers for costs and things like that. There's all kinds of unique settings in there that you need to peruse and look through. So when you get to accountant settings, there's a left navigation, and I have a screenshot of it on your slide. And you can see there's tabs on the left. So you want to click through, look at these settings, and start turning things on and off as you need them. So it's an important area, and a lot of people miss it. The one thing I do want to do a call out on is the advanced setting tab. It's really recommended that you talk to your accounting professional or your pro advisor, whoever you're using to help you out, to look at those settings, because some of those are very structural when it comes to accounting and reporting and how things flow to reports. And accountants really need to see accurate reports to file taxes and things like that. So maybe talk to your accounting professional about that tab. But other than that, that is where you're going to find it. I think you're probably going to live mostly in the company area at first, where you get your logo and your address and contact information in there. Whatever you put in here, as far as address, etc., will show up on your sales forms. So that's pretty important. The next structural area is lists, and there's many lists in QuickBooks Online, and they are also in the gear. So things you want to take a peek at are your chart of accounts. You might see chart of accounts set in other areas of QuickBooks Online called a category. So accountants love the word chart of accounts, and they edit accounts on the chart of accounts. That's accounting talk. But for a business owner or somebody else, it might be a category or a bucket you're going to put an expense into. So there's kind of two names for the same thing. So you might see it as a chart of accounts, or you might see it called categories. They're the exact same thing. And basically what it is it's a list, and it's a place where you're going to go in and say, hey, I want to add a new type of expense, and this is specific, and it's called equipment rental or accounting professional, or who you're paying. So you want to get that list customized for your business. So that would be the chart of accounts. Products and services is what you sell. So anything that's going to go on an invoice would have to be on this product service list first. So this one's really important as far as structure goes. When you set one of those things up, you need to make sure it's set up correctly, and your pricing's correct, so that when it does load onto your invoice, it loads the right amount, etc. You might see it called items in some areas of QuickBooks as well. But it is the product service list officially. The other thing is your sales form style. We're all different. We have different styles. So get in there and customize your sales form so it reflects your business. And that can also be done from gear under the list menu. Set terms. Maybe some clients are immediate pay, some others are net 30. So there's different ways you can customize those terms. The terms can be used on the customer side, but it can also be used on the payables side when you're paying out. Like you might have a contract with a certain vendor where you're paying it net 30 and another vendor's net 15. There is a feature called attachments, and this is where you can manage that from the list area in the gear. And then there's also custom fields. That is a way you can add customized fields on sales and expense forms. And it might be something like a sales rep or something like that. And it's only available in Plus in advance. So again, we're talking structure. This is where you're going to go to do that. And I will demo really quick where all of this is, so you'll know where to go. In these slides, these are a guide for you for when you get back to the office, that you can go through and start looking at all these areas. All right. There's also some lists of names, and those are not up in the all names list or all lists, excuse me, all list field. When you go to gear, those are actually on the left navigation. So the left navigation is that dark kind of gray area on the left side of QuickBooks. And these are also lists that are very important that need to get looked at and make sure they're set up correctly. So there's customers, and you would find those in the sales center on the left navigation. Vendors you would find in the expense center on the left navigation. Employees, payroll are going to be in the payroll center, and so are contractors. And just really quick, I'll tell you the difference between an employee and a contractor in QuickBooks land. An employee gets a W-2. A contractor gets a 1099. So a contractor, I know some people call them employees, but they're really not. They have their own business. You are not withholding taxes from their payment. So that would be somebody you have subcontracted, like for instance, your accountant or your bookkeeper, if they're not an employee. Employee actually works for you. They filled out all those forms. You're deducting their taxes, etc. They get a W-2. So that's really important that you know the difference between the two. All right. And again, this is just a screenshot of the sales center, and we've toggled to the customer tab, and this is our customer list. So we can add or edit customers from there. All right, let me do a quick demo just to kind of show you around and where all these structural places are so you can get your list set up properly. Okay. This is the demo company in QuickBooks Online. It's called Craig's Landscaping and Design. You all can get access to this. It is a demo company you can make changes to, you can experiment with. It's a great playground if you want to try a new workflow or something like that. So I'm going to use Craig's to actually show you around. First of all, I was talking about the structure of company settings and lists. So I'm going to go up to the right and go to the large gear that's in the right corner of QuickBooks Online. And here is account and settings. And I have a screenshot on one of your slides there showing all these tabs. And this is where you're going to make edits and changes. For instance, if I click on any one of these boxes, it opens up and they're editable fields. And then you would save that and move on to the next thing. So then you could do tax form. You know, are you a Schedule C or a sole proprietor or a partnership, etc. So you need to go through and also edit your addresses and things like that. Also, you can add at the top here your company's logo. This would also appear on your dashboard in QuickBooks Online, but you can also add it to then your sales forms as well. So that is accountant settings. I kind of went through it in the slide, but definitely click through and start editing these and getting your settings set up. So once you make a change to something, again, you hit save and then you hit done and you're back out to the main dashboard. All right, so that was the one area in the gear that I wanted to show you. The second one that I mentioned was all lists. So let's click all lists. And again, we've got the chart of accounts, recurring transactions, which are where you can also do some automation. Let's say you want to automatically enter an invoice every month for a certain customer. That's what recurring transactions means. Edit your services and products right here. This would actually open the list. I'll just show you where you can add new or edit any of the existing products or services that you offer. All right, we'll go back to gear, all lists. And you can see sales form styles. You might have a unique look you want for your invoices. That's that. Payment methods, terms, attachments, and then, of course, custom fields. Depending on the version of QuickBooks you have, not all versions have custom fields. All right. So that is that area. The next thing I'm going to talk about is this left navigation. It's another way of getting around. First thing, I want to go to the Sales Center. And let's take a look at that customer list. I'm on the customer tab here, and you can see we have existing customers where we can actually click on their name and maybe they moved, have a new address. You just click edit, where you can update any of the fields here, address, etc. I'll just hit save. Another option is to navigate back to the customer list. So here we are at the main customer list, and you can add a new customer from there. So get those lists in there. Also want to point out, this is something they call the money bar. Once you do have your customers in there and you're doing business, you might want to be managing that a little bit. So for instance, I want to just look at open invoices, or I want to look at open estimates, or whatever that happens to be. All right, so you just go through and click through the money bar and it will filter the look for you. And there's also one in the expense center as well. I'm going to go ahead and remove my filter by clicking clear filter, and now it's an alphabetical customer list. Okay, the next area is expenses. This is money out. I'll go look at our vendor tab inside the vendor center. Again, I have a money bar. I can add a new vendor, or I could edit the existing vendor by clicking on their name and going to the edit. Okay, so one thing I do want to show in the vendor area is I can track 1099s for vendors, subcontractors. If I add Bob's Burger Joint as a subcontractor for this company, this is going to copy this vendor down to the contractor center, which I'll show you in just a moment. So I'm going to hit save there. And again, I could go back and look for another vendor, or there's another way to just go back to the main vendor center using the left navigation. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the payroll area, where our other two lists are. We've got the employee list here. And if you are not using QuickBooks Payroll, you should, because it's right here. You just get started and you can manage all of your payroll right from here. It does sync with QuickBooks Time, which is a time application. And there are some versions of QuickBooks Online Payroll that actually include the time tracking feature. So that's kind of cool. So this is where you would manage that list of employees, or add new ones, or edit the existing. Pretty similar look to all the rest. Now, again, employees get W-2s. I could go to the contractor center here, or click the tab. I'm still in the payroll center. When I click the tab, you can see Bob's Burger Joint is here. This is a short list of vendors that we've marked eligible for 1099. Why do we do that? Well, we want them over here because at the end of the year, we're going to prepare 1099s. There's a wizard in here that will actually take you through the steps to get the 1099s out. All right, so that is the payroll center with our 2 lists of names, employees and contractors. So make sure you get all that structure set up. Again, if you have questions about QuickBooks Payroll, you can always click here and get started. Okay, that is it for demoing my lists and structure. Let's get back to the presentation, and here is the next topic, which is connections. So get the structure right. Once you're done with that, we're going to talk about automation. So on the left navigation, there's an area called transactions. So that is a link or a jump over to what we call the banking center. I need to have you pay attention to this note at the bottom of the screen. It says in QuickBooks Online, if it is set to the accountant view, it will not say transactions on the left navigation. It will say banking. So if you're talking to your accountant, they're looking at QuickBooks on a different way, in a different way. So if you say I'm in transactions, they're going to say, where are you? So you need to know that it will toggle out. So just a point out there, and I'll show you how that toggles in a minute. But basically, you go to the left navigation and go transactions. It opens this bank feed center, and I want to bust some myths here. I've had several people over the years, well, many people over the years, who are a little leery of connecting their bank. And I just need to say it's okay, because guess what? This is a read-only connection. What that means is the only thing that's going to come over to QuickBooks are things that have cleared the bank, things that are on the bank statement after the fact. You cannot do a transfer or do anything actionable at the bank's website. So it's very safe in that way. It's only what's going to be on the bank statement coming across. So that being said, now that we know your bookkeeper is not going to be able to transfer money or write herself an electronic check at your bank's website, let's talk about what it does. Once you connect it, this will update automatically. And what it does is it doesn't bring across pending transactions. So if you see something pending at the bank today, tomorrow, it's going to automatically show up in the bank feed center. So it automatically updates daily. You don't have to do anything. And then it starts pulling this stuff in, and then you can actually look at it and go, oh, this is where I rented a piece of equipment, right? It shows how much and the date, but then we just have to fill in a couple of fields. What category do you want to put it to, and who's the vendor? So it fills in some of the data for you. And then you can also set rules to make that happen automatically if you like. So I should mention, if you're going to set up the connection, you must be the primary account user at the bank. So if you need help with that, you might have your accountant help you, guide you here. But basically, if you go to transactions, and if you look at this screenshot on the left, there's a button at the top that says link account. Click there, log into your bank. There you go. You've connected. So that's pretty cool. And then you can start coding your transactions as they're coming in. All right, another connection you might want to look into is both the payroll feature and the time feature. I showed you where payroll was. It's on the left navigation under payroll. There is also QuickBooks Time, and you can if you're not seeing a time option on the left navigation, it means you either need to sign up for QuickBooks Time at first, or contact Intuit or QuickBooks Payroll. And if you have a version that's included with QuickBooks Payroll, you need to talk to the payroll service about getting that connection done. So basically, QuickBooks Time is a way to track employees, not only time, but location, and your customer list and your product service list loads from QuickBooks to QuickBooks Time. So if your client is out, or your employees out there, or your subcontractor are out there working, they can key into, I showed up on this job site, and I was on this project, and this is what I was doing. So that would be your product service. Once they save their timesheets, that gets approved. As soon as it's approved, it pushes over to payroll. and it also can do some job costing for you. So it's pretty cool feature. And again, 2 versions of QuickBooks Payroll include QuickBooks Time. I should also mention that Time does scheduling and geofencing. So cool things to look into. And they're all in QuickBooks Online. They're just sitting there waiting to be used. So check those out. The last thing I want to mention about connections is QuickBooks Payments. And this is one of my very, very favorite things. I use it myself in my firm. Basically, when I send an invoice out, I email it from QuickBooks. It also includes a method for my client to pay me. So they would get the email, they see the invoice, and they actually can click through and pay immediately. What's really cool about that is as soon as they click through and pay, it updates my QuickBooks and says, hey, they've paid. And then when it deposits the bank, it will actually update my QuickBooks for me. I don't have to do that workflow manually anymore. So it saves me time and I love it. So it enters payments and deposits for you. I should also mention this app that you're viewing on screen. This is the Go Payment app. It's an app that you can download for free from the App Store on your phone or on your tablet or iPad or whatever. Basically, it allows you to turn those particular devices into a point of sale system. And I have had people who take their phone to a trade show and they can actually pull their product list and fill out, oh, they bought this, this, and this, and then they collect the payment right from their phone. So it's pretty cool. And what's really great about that is immediately back at the main office, whoever's in QuickBooks will see the sale happening in real time. So no more, oh, I got a bunch of receipts from a credit card machine I brought with me to the trade show, and then I got to go back to the office and enter it. This is all syncing and it's all there. So another automation that's going to make your life a lot easier. So just more things to look into. All right, let me just do a real quick demo of where the bank feed center is, where payroll is, and I'll show you how to find QuickBooks Time and Go Payment. So let's do a demo. Last time we demoed, we were in the employee center, but I'm going to take you somewhere else. I'm going to take you to where it says transactions. Again, your accountant would see this as banking. Kind of strange, but it's true. So transactions and then banking, and this is the bank feed center. You know what I really love about the test drive is this is a sample company where I can experiment with bank feeds and try rules and things like that. And I'm not hurting anything. I can just experiment. So basically I've got 3 tabs here: the checking, the savings, and the MasterCard. These are the 3 accounts we've connected to this company. And you can go in here and click link account if you want to add another account. This will take you to the bank to log in. But what happens is I've selected the checking account, and if I scroll down a little bit, I've got transactions here. So I right here have a transaction that cleared the bank on the 5th of October. I'm going to look at it. So you select the row, add your payee, whoever you purchased this rental from, if that's what it is, and then choose your category. So I'll put rental equipment or equipment rental. And the reason I know that that's what it is this is the bank detail that's going to appear on the bank statement. So what does the bank statement have? It has the date, the amount, and the bank detail. QuickBooks Online Bank Feed is just pushing that information in here where I can make it actionable and turn it into a transaction and update my banking, my checking register in QuickBooks. So the idea is you confirm this particular transaction, it removes it from the bank feed, and you just keep going. Start coding. What I need to talk about in automation is it's going to actually automate if you start using rules, and we'll talk about that later. Also on the left navigation was the payroll center. I showed you that. And again, if you do want to use QuickBooks Payroll with QuickBooks Time, you do need to get started with the payroll offering. If you already have QuickBooks Payroll, you're good. We just need to get Time going, and also QuickBooks Payments in a minute. So let's go to the App Store. There are hundreds of apps that connect to QuickBooks Online. It's an API that other app developers can plug into. So I'm going to look for QuickBooks Time. It's here. There we go. So you can read more about it here. And then again, if you don't have it already, this is where you're going to go to get it. If you want to do it as a standalone, that's fine. You don't have to use QuickBooks Payroll. But you can watch some videos, get some pricing, etc. I think it's essentials and an elite payroll that include QuickBooks Time. When you're ready, just click Get App Now, and there's a couple of steps, and the app's connected. So that's kind of nice. And again, it'll pull your customer list, your employee and vendor list, and your products and services list. So vendors and employees can clock in and out. And then also you could use it to pull the specific customer and the specific thing they were doing, the service. So that's kind of a nice little feature. Another app we're going to look for is GoPayment. There it is. So again, this is the free app you can download to your phone or smart device, and this only works if you have a merchant service account. So obviously you need to go through this process and apply for a merchant service account, and then the GoPayment app will work as well. The same merchant service account will also let you email invoices and receive payments right from inside QuickBooks. All right, so that's my demo on the connections. All right, let's move on. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So basically, if you don't think you can get this done, you probably won't. I think you can do it. Just get in there and start going through those settings. And if you need help, talk to an accounting professional. All right, let's talk about workflows. And I have some screenshots in here on sales and expenses. And also I want to show you some common mistakes that people make. First of all, let's talk about getting things done. This is a nice map in QuickBooks Online. It's on the left navigation. You just click on it and it'll show you what to do first, second, and third. So there's invoices, sales receipts, etc. Great little map telling you that I got to do this before I do that. So I think you should rely on the Getting Things Done tab to kind of live there and work from there. All of those bubbles are actionable. You just click and off you go. All right, so this is a proper workflow for sales. And one of them is invoicing. So invoicing means the client or customer is not paying you immediately. You are going to invoice them and they'll pay you at another time. Now, the first step is estimates. Estimates are not required. It's an optional step, but you're doing a bid or a quote. And then if they accept it, QuickBooks Online will convert that estimate to an invoice, which is pretty cool. Invoice means you've sent it out, they're going to pay you. Hopefully you're using QuickBooks payments. They click through and pay. If not, a check comes in the mail and you need to enter the next step, which is a payment. So you enter the payment, and then the one that a lot of people miss is making a deposit. So I wanted to get you this all on one screen so you understand this must happen in order and they all must be done, or else you're going to have some accounting issues when you go to run a financial statement. So make sure whoever's doing your sales processes knows that there are 3 steps. Again, there would be 4 if you're using estimates. The next one, sales workflow, is a sales receipt. This is payment in full at the time of sale. It's another form in QuickBooks. I'm not giving the customer time to pay. There are 3 steps with this one. Enter the sales receipt. It actually turns into the payment already, and then the payment has to turn into a deposit. All right, so that's the workflow there. And then we'll get into expenses. And these screenshots or these slides are for you to use as a reference when you get back to the office. You have an option of doing a purchase order. You don't have to, but if you want to put in what you have on order prior to the bill coming in, you absolutely can do that. Enter the PO. The PO will convert to a bill. The bill is going to sit there until you pay it. So some people want to pay their bills twice a month, maybe the 1st and the 15th. You enter these bills as they're coming in. And then when it's time to pay bills, you'll have a list of unpaid bills and you do the payment. So make sure all those steps are followed in that order. All right, expenses and checks. Now, these are 2 other options. This arrow should not be here. You can ignore it, but basically expenses is a standalone. What this is an electronic payment of some sort. It might be a credit card or a debit card or an ACH transfer, but it's electronic, and it's not related to accounts payable or bills. I am paying for something immediately. So I go to a office supply store and I swipe my debit card or I swipe my credit card. That would be the expense form you use in QuickBooks Online. The checks is a separate transaction that's in QuickBooks Online, and it's for paper checks, really. That's all it is. Now, I should mention a bill can be paid with a paper check, right? Or it can be paid with a credit card, but that's the option in the bill payment screen. And so it's how it gets paid is different. But these are standalones, meaning I don't have a bill. I'm just going to write a check. Maybe I ordered a pizza for the staff at the office. It showed up. I wrote a check to the pizza guy, right? It's immediate. I don't need to enter a bill for that. All right, that's an expense workflow. And then banking ties right into that. So as those things are clearing the bank, you can confirm that they have cleared in the bank feed center. Or if you didn't enter everything, like I didn't enter that swipe at the box store when I bought office supplies, it'll come through on the bank feed center and I can key it in right here, as I did when I showed you that equipment rental. So this is another way of getting it done. And again, you can use rules to automate that process. So let's avoid some common mistakes here. One of those is transfers. So if I am, say, using the bank feed center and a transfer downloads from my credit card, or excuse me, from my checking account, and it also downloads into my savings account where it arrived as a deposit, if I add them both from the bank feed center, I'm going to get two transactions, or I'm going to duplicate the same transaction. So how to avoid the mistake? And again, this slide's for you to take home. You can add the activity from the source account. So it came from the checking account, add it from that bank feed, but then confirm it because it'll show up as a match on the receiving side, which is the savings account. So that's your workflow for that common mistake. The other one is undeposited funds. This is when you receive a payment, but you never make that deposit at the end. Make sure you're doing it. That is a very common mistake. Make sure you follow your workflows. And then finally, credit card payments. There is a form in QuickBooks Online in the Plus New area that says credit card payment. You also have that option inside the bank feed center. Basically, a lot of people make mistakes with how they key in a credit card payment, and this form should ensure that you're not going to key it in incorrectly. So those are the three common mistakes. There's instructions here on how to avoid them. So again, if you ever need help or explanation, reach out to your accounting professional or someone like myself who does personal coaching. Okay, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. And yeah, thanks, Walt Disney, because it's true. We can talk about getting this automated and making it happen, but you need to just get it going. So just some inspiration for you all. I want to keep you guys moving forward on this. All right, one last bit we're going to talk about is collaboration and users and sharing and connecting. Let's get in there. Let's start with working with your team. Users and permissions, and then we'll talk about sharing documents and then connecting with an accounting professional if some of this is beyond your scope. Okay, first thing, if you go to Gear and Manage Users, you can add users to your QuickBooks. So you need to get your team in there to help you. You're out there, you know, drumming up business. Somebody else needs to be paying bills, right? That's what your team is. And each version of QuickBooks Online, depending on what you ordered or what you're using now or going to use, will have a different bank of users. So let's say it's Plus. QuickBooks Online Plus has 5 users. So you could get your team in the office in there. This is what else is awesome about this is remote workers. It's so easy to have remote workers with QuickBooks Online. So you could have people working from all over in your user bank. Now the accounting firms with Plus, you get 2 accounting firms. So you might have an outside outsourced bookkeeper and you might have a CPA. So those firms can be added at no additional charge to you. If you have QuickBooks Advanced, you can add 3 users. Or excuse me, 3 accounting firms, sorry. Correction. Okay, let's talk about transactions now. In the transactions tab, where I went to the bank center, instead you can choose receipts. This is an area where you can actually upload receipts or money out transactions and get them coded into QuickBooks. I use this all the time when I get emails showing that, oh, I paid a bill and I get that bill, or maybe I didn't pay it, maybe it's a bill I'm going to pay. I can forward that email to the receipt center in my QuickBooks, and then it actually has technology that will read that bill and try to code it for me. I view it, make a few tweaks to it, and then save it as a bill, or I could save it as a straight expense if I've already paid it. So that's pretty cool. It's in your transactions area, AKA banking area, and look for receipts. Um, there's also ways to upload from the QBO app if you're using the app for QuickBooks Online. All right, now finally, if some of this sounds beyond what you can do, and maybe you need help at your end or something like that, to find an accounting pro is really easy. On the left navigation, there's an area called Accountant. And when you click there, you can either add and invite your accountant as an accounting firm user by putting their information in there and clicking invite. If they aren't there, then you're going to find an accounting pro. What this is a list of certified QuickBooks Online Pro advisors, and you can connect with them this way. Once they connect with you and they're an accountant user, guess what? You can start sharing documents in this same accounting center. So this screenshot on the left will wipe out and it'll turn into a document share area. Talk about saving some time, like getting just simple information to your accountant is all going to be inside QuickBooks now. So it's a good idea to connect with a pro. If you can't find anybody, you can always reach out to me, Erin at the Bookkeeper's Friend in San Diego. All right, so that's connecting with a pro. Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. And that's true. We need to keep moving forward, little steps. Just give yourself little goals. Every day, I'm going to take care of this today. I'm going to take care of this tomorrow. Maybe it's getting your invoice forms set up right the way you like them with your logo. And then maybe it's connecting your bank feeds the next day. Just keep moving forward one step at a time. Here's a nice list of things to take with you. Get the structure set up right. Use connections to automate your work. Then understand those sales and expense workflows. Use the slides in your handout as a guide to make sure you don't make mistakes and make sure the workflows are done properly. Avoid those common mistakes that I mentioned. Get your team in there to help you so you can go back to doing what you love to do and let somebody else do the tasks and the bookkeeping side. And that is just freeing up your time is going to power your next. Okay, that's all the time we have today. Thank you all so much for being here and learning all about setting up QuickBooks Online.